A complete 180-degree turn, or just rhetoric. Offended by Putin, Trump is preparing for the first time to provide Ukraine with new weapons from American stockpiles, using his presidential powers. The last such delivery was authorized by his predecessor, Biden. What are Europeans expecting from the American statements, and how are they reacting? Should we expect new sanctions against Russia from the United States? TSN's international correspondent Yana Slesarchuk will tell us more.
Donald Trump is turning toward Ukraine. American publications are reporting this cautiously. They note that the American president has been disappointed by Putin's behavior. Trump himself, in a phone interview, promised to make an important statement about Russia on Monday. Meanwhile, after meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov on the sidelines of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit in Malaysia, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated, Russia is proposing a new approach to a peace agreement.
As I see it, this is a new, different approach, but again, I wouldn't call it a guarantee of peace. However, it's a concept that I will present to the President today, as soon as I finish here with you.
Europe is reacting to the latest news from Washington without much hope. Under Trump's leadership, America has proven itself unpredictable. Last week, the aid to Ukraine that had been allocated back during Biden's time was suddenly halted. It took several days to figure out what happened, and in the end, all the blame was placed on a unilateral decision by the Pentagon.
After very constructive and very positive talks with President Trump, we have all the necessary political signals for the resumption of aid deliveries. Now, at the team level, we are working to ensure that everything reaches Ukraine on time.
Today, Reuters reports that Trump himself will, for the first time, use a program that allows American presidents to directly allocate weapons for aid without waiting for congressional approval, and will provide Ukraine with weapons from American stockpiles worth $300 million. This may include an additional Patriot system or at least missiles for those already in Ukraine. However, the package has not yet been finalized.
They would like that. They asked for them. There are very few left, because many systems have already been sent to Ukraine. But they would like to have them. I know they made a request. We will consider it. It's an expensive, very expensive system.
So, against the backdrop of the latest massive Russian attacks on Ukraine, the UK is negotiating with Kiev to supply 5,000 air defense missiles. And the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz stated that his country is ready to purchase Patriot air defense systems from the United States and transfer them to Ukraine. A similar statement soon followed from Norway. Zelensky assures there will be more to come.
My request concerns 10 Patriot systems and the corresponding number of missiles for these systems. Germany is ready to pay for 2 systems. Norway is ready to pay for 1 system. Once we receive a clear answer from the manufacturer and from the various possibilities of the United States of America regarding the dates, and of course, we understand the cost, other European partners will also join in.
Discussions about sanctions against Russia, which Europe is unable to impose on its own without a political decision from the United States, have also intensified. Senators from both parties assure that they will indeed pass the relevant bill by the end of July. It will impose 500% trade tariffs on all countries that purchase Russian oil, gas, and uranium. Governments discussed this, in particular, during the meeting between Zelensky and Kellogg, whom Trump appointed as responsible for the Ukrainian direction. The president of Ukraine called the conversation substantive.
July will be a magical month for devastating sanctions against Vladimir Putin.
It's important to change the rules of the game with Putin. He doesn't respond positively. Ukraine wants to stop the war, but Putin does not. Yesterday, it was clear that the president wants to change the situation. This law will give him a significant lever of influence over China and India, who are helping Putin's war machine.
However, Politico has previously reported that former President Trump is indeed willing to sign this particular bill, but only if he is explicitly given the full authority to unilaterally lift these sanctions without any prior discussion or consultation with the United States Congress. Meanwhile, the Pentagon, which was recently heavily criticized for halting deliveries to Ukraine, a move Trump distanced himself from, has announced that it is preparing for drone warfare. In a flashy video set to Metallica music, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News showman, snatches a piece of paper from a drone to sign an order that allows U.S. Army officers to independently purchase and test drones, including 3D printed prototypes, without needing prior approval from Washington. Yana Slesarchuk, Victoria Pismena. KSN. 1+1. Large-scale drone raid on Russia. Explosions were heard in 8 regions at once, including near strategic military factories in the Tula and Moscow regions, as well as in the Kursk, Belgorod, Oryol, Nizhny Novgorod, Rostov, and Samara regions.
Lipetsk, Rostov, and Kaluga regions. Among the targets this time is the Kronstadt enterprise, which manufactures Russian drone models. This is not the first time it has been attacked. Also targeted was the Lakovis I aviation plant in the Moscow region. There, in particular, they produce and modernize MiG-29 and MiG-31 fighter jets, as well as upgrade Garand-type drones. This was reported by Andriy Kovalenko, head of a center for countering disinformation. As usual, the Russians are not saying anything about the damage. The Defense Ministry of the aggressor state reports 150 drones shot down, while the authorities of Tula region mention 1 fatality. At Moscow's and St. Petersburg's Zakhovsky and Pulkovo airports, flights were once again restricted overnight. They are advancing along the entire front line and have made gains in the Novopavlivka and Orikha directions. This is reported by Deep State. According to analysts, the occupiers have captured the village of Yalta near Mariinka and have also advanced in Mern and Kamiansk. In the past day, there have been 214 combat clashes on the front, with the most, almost 60, occurring in the Pokrovsk direction, according to the General Staff. This section has traditionally been the most difficult. The enemy is advancing, in particular, in the areas of Popovya Yar, Mern, Myrolobivka, Lisivka, Shevchenko, and Yudakny. More than 30 attacks were recorded in the Lyman direction. In the Turitsk area, which the enemy has been assaulting for months with small groups, the Russians decided to go all in. Fighters from the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade released a video showing 2 tanks with infantry advancing on our positions, so heavily armored that they looked like bunkers on wheels. First, they were hit by artillery, and then a whole swarm of drones attacked, FPV bombers, and even drones with artificial intelligence. It took about 60 UAVs to find the weak spots and destroy these monsters. The soldiers note that, besides infantry, these barns can also contain electronic warfare systems and mine trolls that clear the way for future assaults.